One tin soldier rides again. They had only been on the path for 10 minutes when they arrived at the rocky ridge. It overlooked the standing stones, clumped together like overweight members of a couch potato family. Without saying anything, both Rome and Sandra found the flattest spot, put their packs down, and sat on the hot rock. Wow! Sandra shook her head as she gazed out to the rock formations and salmon-colored pillars that dotted the cliffs. The crags were more than 3 miles away, but became the focal point when you looked out from the sanctuary land because the rest of the land was so flat. This was the territory shown in Western films, where the horsemen can ride for miles on flat, barren land, and behind them is a solid, picturesque band of mountains. The rocks that framed the fairy sanctuary were hundreds of feet tall. If you looked closely, their shapes were recognizable. As visitors made the turn off the highway and onto the dirt road, they couldn't miss the guardians at the gate. The enormous rock figures were veritable statues. See those rocks that look like chess pieces? Rome looked out toward the guardian rocks. Those are very sacred rocks. Just think how long they've been here. And they are still just sitting pretty, looking down to us and blessing the land. Rome pointed out the rock formations he felt were the easiest to recognize. The largest, egghead-shaped Quan Yin, the rugged stack of rocks he called the Tin Soldier, the auspicious sign of 2 dragon heads, one on each side of the rock outcropping. Rome stood on top of the ridge and held his hands out to his sides, parallel to the ground and in line with his heart. Right now I have a sense, an inside feeling that the sky is dwelling at the same level as my heart. The desert speaks. Rome offered his hand to Sandra, who stood up, and they began to gather their packs to continue their journey. I know you're curious about what brings people out to live in someplace like this. I guess my answer would be, just look around. What brings me here, and keeps me here, is the heartfelt, real-world experience of nature. Subtle connections are much easier to feel out here. Rome stopped in the spot where he had found so many of his favorite small rocks for the fairy rock collection. Like an invisible web, those connections keep us tied together with all other beings, the ancient ones, the standing stones, our resident animals, the other fairies. The web of life easier to experience than to describe. Sandra and Rome were crouched into rock hunting position as they picked up stones and then threw them back down. People who visit us are curious about how we survive being in such a remote spot. People want to know how you connect, what to do, how to do it, how much to do it, the best time. Blah, blah, blah. Those caught into the snare of how to. Sandra discovered a small piece of gypsum that was super pure white. It even looked whiter than the sun. She held up to her eye as she twirled around 360 degrees and looked up to the sky blue bowl with floating late afternoon clouds that could have been white bird feathers as they danced across the sky. Being here makes it easier to be present. Here I forget that I'm supposed to be planning what to do next or rethinking what I did in order to do it better next time. It's like an unexpected gift of simply being. The ease of being. Sandra had become a student of mindfulness as a result of an experience of bare awareness she encountered during a 7-day Vipassana meditation retreat. This land is special, sacred. It's perfect for the fairies, because it's natural to feel that a spiritual part of life is to simply be on the land. The land knows and supports you by offering you the gift of simply being. Sandra realized she didn't know what led her to sound so philosophic. It just spilled out. Live simply so others may simply live. Well put, grasshopper.